Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So I'm sure you guys have all heard by now about Donald Trump's press conference with Israel's leader, who I will now and forevermore call the baby bombing Bibi, because that's what he is. That's what he has done. For those who haven't heard, Trump previously said that Gaza should be quote unquote cleaned out. Well, now Trump says the U.S. should take over the Palestinians' land and essentially occupy it. Or not essentially, but like he is flat out saying we should occupy it. He called for a quote unquote long-term ownership position, that the U.S. should hold a long-term ownership position in Gaza. So Trump literally said in this press conference, quote, I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East, and maybe the entire Middle East. So Trump also said Palestinians should be moved, that they should be removed from their own land, moved to another country. He referred to this area, to Gaza, as the quote-unquote Riviera of the Middle East. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, also was saying, oh, this is great beachfront property. I mean, they're sick. This is all they care about. And then Trump said, quote, and this is again in this press conference, quote, I envision world people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there and they'll live there. Palestinians also, Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. But he was asked, like, you know, this is their land. Where do you think they should go? And he's like, well, why would they want to live there? I mean, it's horrible. It's been gutted. It's been leveled. It's hell on earth. Gee, I wonder how it got that way. And for anybody watching this who's like, oh, you're a Hamas sympathizer, just shut up. Just seriously, just shut up. I have said over and over again, what Hamas did was absolutely incomprehensible, unconscionable, horrific, never, ever should be done. At the same time, what Israel and their military is doing to Palestinians is beyond horrific. It is a billion times worse at this point, what they have done. And yes, they have violated human beings in that way. They have literally assaulted them to death. They have targeted children and babies. And this is proven by all kinds of people, but including medical doctors who have said that they have gone there to help treat people. And they have watched with their own eyes, witnessed with their own eyes, the IDF drop a bomb on an area. It will cause some people to run. Some people get thrown by the blast. There are children, some as young as 3, 4 years old, on the ground. Not a Hamas fighter, not a terrorist, a little toddler child laying on the ground, still alive, barely, just laying there trying to recover from the blast. And the IDF will send in a drone, hover over this child so they can clearly see that it is a child, and they will shoot a bullet into the child's back or into their head. So you tell me how this is not a targeted genocide. So anyway, back to this idiot that's running our country now. So Trump was asked, are you going to send in U.S. troops? Will they be deployed if you want to do this and clear this area out? And Trump's answer was, quote, we'll do what's necessary. We'll take it over and develop it. So Arab Americans and Muslims in general who voted for Trump, they are experiencing their find out moment right now because everybody tried to warn them that he was best buddies with Netanyahu and it was only going to get worse. I mean, it was already horrendous with Biden, but it was absolutely, undeniably, clear cut going to get worse with Trump. So they're finally figuring this out. So there's a group that did outreach to Arab Americans. It was called Arab Americans for Trump. They did outreach during the 2024 election on behalf of Trump. They gathered all these groups. They, hooked him up with people to speak to the community. Well, they have just announced they changed their name after his press conference last night. So they are now known as the Arab Americans for Peace. And the chairman told the AP, quote, "The talk about what the president wants to do with Gaza, obviously we're completely opposed to the idea of the transfer of Palestinians from anywhere in historic Palestine. And so we did not want to be behind the curve in terms of pushing for peace, because that has been our objective from the very beginning." So online, I was looking at the comments and they're mostly positive from conservatives. They do not see Palestinians as human beings, right? I mean, again, these are brown people to them. So of course, they're not human beings in their eyes. They don't believe that they should even exist. So most of them don't care. But many of them think this is just a negotiating tactic. Trump isn't really going to do this. Some clearly need to clean out their ears, because they're saying, oh, well, Trump never said he's going to send in our military. Trump never said that, we're going to put boots on the ground. Again, I'll remind you, he said we will do whatever is necessary in regard to U.S. troops. Other people, though, did completely disagree. So this definitely could help Democrats in the midterms. I hate to, bring it back to politics only and look for the silver lining when people are, and especially children and babies, are being slaughtered. But maybe we'll have some sanity back in DC and some laws again. So one person wrote in part, quote, "I love President Trump. I think he's a good president, but I completely disagree with him on this." Another person then replied to that and said, quote, "Me too. This is a horrible idea." And then on another platform, there was a conservative who posted, quote, "I'm so tired of this shit. Every time you think you got a president that cares about about Americans and ending the endless wars in the Middle East, another one comes up and starts something else." And then he went on for a while and he ended the post with, quote, "Guess the idea of America first was bullshit in the end." Another user posted, quote, "This is a terrible decision," terrible all in caps. "There is nothing good that can come of this." And then another conservative wrote, quote, "All I wanted from this administration was some common sense back in our politics. This ain't it." And a conservative who is apparently a Ron Paul fan posted, quote, "Fuck off with this. This is America last. Israel needs to deal with its own problems." There were a lot more, but as time went on and as the post continued to roll in, they became more and more Trump friendly, and they were, sure to tamp down any dissent because you got to keep that cult in line. So what's really disturbing, adding to the disturbing news, is that Trump will get support for this from both sides of the aisle, right? Because Dems receive just as much blood money from AIPAC as Republicans do. So for those who don't know, AIPAC is an Israeli lobbying group that, safe to say, they basically control the US government. They say jump, these representatives say how high. And I am talking about almost every Democrat and Republican. I mean, with rare exception, most take money from this disgusting group. And I call it a disgusting group because, yeah, they operate in the US. They are supposedly US citizens, and their one and only goal is to make Israel great again, is to take care of Israel. Surprisingly, there was one GOP congressman, Jim Baird, who spoke out. He says Israel has no respect for the US. His constituent was one of his constituents was killed by Israeli soldiers. So she was over there, she was protesting the bulldozing of Palestinian homes, because, yeah, that's what they do. And they either hit her or ran over her with a bulldozer. She ended up dying. I mean, this is a young woman in her early 20s. And Baird was given this, like platitudes and basically, oh, there's a simple explanation for this. We'll look into it. Well, when he kept pressing them, Baird said that Israeli officials became indignant at one point, and they told him, quote, or he told a news outlet that they told him, quote, there is a disdain for the U.S. and a dismissal of any legitimacy of our right to question, because who are we to talk about moral values, whether it's that we didn't help early enough in the Holocaust, or look at what we did to our African Americans or our Native Americans, whatever. And they see us, members of Congress, as basically for sale. So they want us to shut up and play the game. They have this attitude towards us. We give them billions. We give Israel billions of dollars every single year, and we have for a very long time. Their citizens have free college tuition. Their citizens have free universal health care while living on our dime, and they have this attitude towards us, like they owe us no respect. But for the US, how would they protect themselves? They wouldn't have all these bombs. They wouldn't have all these weapons. And Trump just approved more weapons. Trump just gave them a shit ton of guns that the Biden administration said he wouldn't give them. So this is how it's going. It is Israel first in this country. And yeah, I call AIPAC a disgusting group because they try to turn everything into anti-Semitism. As I've said before, I have dated and loved in the biblical sense, a Jewish man. Okay. I do not care who you are, where you're from, color, nationality, religion. I hate organized religion for this reason, because all it does is bring hate and division and wars and death. And so, what they have done, and I'm not blaming the Israeli people, I am blaming Netanyahu and his alt-right government. What they have done to the Palestinians for decades is abhorrent. There are 2 million people still living in this area. This is their home. And Trump and Netanyahu just want to kill as many as possible and push them out. Think about what would happen, how Americans would react if Mexico did this to us, or if Canada did this to us. If they kept us in what's considered to be open air prisons where we couldn't leave, could not move about freely. They cut off our food, they cut off our medical supplies, they starved us, they would come in and just, slaughter some of us whenever they felt like it, what Israel calls mowing the lawn. Imagine if one of our neighbors did that to us and we couldn't leave. If Mexico was doing this to us and Canada said, no, oh, sorry, no, you can't come in here. Can't come here. So we're starving. We can't, take care of our sick population. We have no way to leave. Can't fly out. Nobody wants us. What do you think Americans would do in that situation? How long do you think Americans would put up with that? That is what has been done to the Palestinian people. And then the Israelis act like, oh, we're just so innocent and we haven't done anything and they just attack us. And yes, it has gone both ways. Yeah, Hamas is a terrorist group, and Palestinians have done their own fair share of dirty deeds and atrocities. It goes on and on and on. But what they are doing now is not defense. What they have been doing since the Hamas attack, initially going after Hamas, fine, go after them, as I've said before, go after them all you want, destroy them. But to what they have been doing in killing innocent civilians is not defense. So, I don't know what's going to happen, but other countries do not want to take in Palestinians. Some of them have already taken in more than they can accommodate. So this is just a horrible, horrible situation. And this is a slap in the face to all of the Muslim Americans, all of the Palestinian Americans who voted for Trump or who abstained from voting because, they thought that maybe something would get better under his administration. And, now today, Trump's press secretary is trying to walk some of this back. And she's saying, oh, no, Trump is not saying that the U.S. is going to pay to reconstruct, to rebuild Gaza. And he hasn't made any kind of a commitment to send U.S. troops. Well, we all know Donald Trump changes his name or his mind, as quickly as JD Vance changes his name, or Donald Trump probably changes his wives. I mean, every other day. So anyway, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I have a feeling, if Netanyahu says to him, oh, I will for free just grant you part of this area. You turn the Gaza Strip over to us, you clear it out with your troops and turn it over to us. I will give you X amount of land right there, waterfront, to build a Trump Tower. Do you really think that Donald Trump isn't going to do it? Yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I will keep you posted on all of this as it transpires. Just horrible, absolutely horrible, disgusting. This will go down in history, our part in this, as so shameful. All right, thank you all again. Please like this video, share it with other people so they understand what's truly going on here. Please, support the show if you can. Definitely hit that subscribe button for more content. I appreciate all of you. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.